Hello everybody, thanks for joining me for another episode of A Whole Lot About Darts. I would like to start off by thanking my sponsors, Raptor Darts, Black Hat Darts, and BA Darts. Tonight's video is going to pertain to two of the most important factors in darts in America. The first subject is alcohol. The pros and cons of having alcohol while you throw and what it does to affect your throw and how you're performing. And then the second, I'm going to revisit on follow through and things to try for people that struggle following through, such as myself, which is why I keep reverting back to follow through, because when it comes to throwing darts, that may be the single most important variable in darts is your follow through. So, alcohol. You go to any small tournament event, people drink alcohol. Some don't, but most do. There are quite a few people that can't throw until they get the proper amount of alcohol in them. I mean, we get it. We're out at a bar, most cases. We're out trying to have a good time, playing the game we all love and enjoy. And alcohol typically makes you better. You know, and I've been thinking, why does alcohol make you better? So from my perspective, I think when you got alcohol in your system, you're feeling good, you're walking up to the line, just using muscle memory, focusing on the board, not overthinking things, not thinking about your grip, your set, your back draw, your stance. You're just walking up to the board, looking at what you want to throw at, and you're throwing. Secondly, I think alcohol relaxes you. You're not tense. Like for me, I've been thinking about what I'm doing when I'm throwing when I'm sober. And then the next day after a night of throwing darts and having a few drinks, I think when I start really hitting, I think about what I did that previous night. And one thing I keep going back to is how tight I'm gripping my dart. When I'm sober, I sometimes hold my dart a little bit tighter. And I think what that does is restricts my follow through somewhat. Because if you hold your dart tighter, a little bit tighter grip, it tenses a little bit more muscles up and stops you from following through as much. Now, if you get, in a rhythm, get a few drinks in you, you're just basically resting the dart in your hand. At least me, for example. Like if I'm set my dart and somebody walks up behind me, they can literally slide it out when I'm really throwing. And not focusing on my set, my back draw, and my follow through. I'm just walking to the line, setting my dart, bringing it back, focusing on my objective and throwing. So now when I'm completely sober, I've been trying to do that at home during practice. I'll just get my grip and level my dart and try to hold it as if I was intoxicated, drinking, having a good time in a rhythm, because I know when I think back to the night of me, having a good time in a rhythm, That's one thing I do. I relax. My grip relaxes. It's not tense. If you hold on to that dart too long, it's not going to let you flip your wrist on your follow through and pop your elbow. A very accurate throw on your follow through, you got to flip the wrist and pop the elbow. Popping the elbow and flipping the wrist creates a straight stroke, letting you follow through all the way to the objective. So the negative of alcohol is when you get to that sweet buffer zone or that sweet spot where you're really, you feel like you could hit anything on the board, a lot of people keep going. Let's do a shot, another beer, shot, beer. Next thing you know, they're missing, which is usually towards the end of the night. They're not hitting the darts that they typically would. And that's it's a real tight window when you got to rely on alcohol to be comfortable with your darts and throw how you're capable of throwing. When I first started throwing darts and I started going out to Lux and whatnot, I would drink water or pop or soda, how some people call it, and I did pretty well. And then keep going to Lux, everybody drinking all the time. I started picking up drinking, and lately I've been feeling like I need to have drinks in me to throw how I feel like I'm capable of doing, especially in high pressure situations like a big tournament or an event. The main thing is, if you use alcohol to help you get to that sweet spot, a big thing is knowing when you're in that sweet spot, how to manage yourself and your alcohol consumption to keep yourself in that perfect sweet spot, throughout the night. So I would just, warn everybody that, likes to go out and have a good time and, that really start hitting their darts once you get some alcohol in you. Try to think about what you were doing and how you were doing it while that alcohol was in you. And when you're at home practicing without alcohol, try to implement some of that into your throw when you're sober. And then just, watch your intake, and because once you get too much alcohol in you, you start forgetting some of the things you did when you practiced. Like if I bring my dart up to here and set my dart, I have so much alcohol in me, I'm falling all over the line, I'm just coming up and throwing. Then you might not start hitting how you can if you follow everything the way you've been practicing. So that's what I have to say about alcohol consumption and how it plays a big part in the darts, along with taking the pressure off of pressure situations. And then I'm going to go back to follow through. I touched on it a little bit earlier in this video about how you hold your dart, but follow through is the single most important aspect of one's throw. You cannot stab, as I said in previous videos. You can't do none of this, or like 3/4. See how my elbow still got like somewhat of a V shape in it? Can't have that when you release. You can't have this when you release. Your arms got to be completely straight, pointing at your objective, or your hand has to be down towards the ground on your follow through. You want to keep your dart as loose as possible in your hand, which is so when you follow through, you could snap and pop your elbow up. Like I said in previous videos, a lot of people struggle following through. Me, I have this weird thing that if I set my dart and then look at the ground and throw, I'll follow all the way through. But if I stare at what I'm trying to hit, sometimes I short arm it. Short arm it means leave the wrist up and do one of these numbers instead of this. And I'm in the process of trying to work out of that. I said in a previous video, I want to reiterate a practice method. So my practice method is you set the dart, close your eyes, bring it back to your backdraw point, and in your mind you think, follow all the way through, and then you fire all the way through and point at the board. You do that for 20 to 50 darts. Doesn't matter where the dart's going because obviously your eyes are closed. And then you open your eyes and you set the dart and bring it to your backdraw while you're staring at your objective. From just doing it previously, 20 to 50 darts, you're going to fire and follow all the way through. Another thing to help one follow all the way through, as you fire your dart in your head, say 1 Mississippi. And when you say that in your mind, as you're firing at your objective, point at what you're throwing at. So point at it. And when you point at it, as you're pointing at it, as you're throwing, say 1 Mississippi, and that will help you follow all the way through instead of like crossing over, short arming it, or doing one of these numbers. When you throw a dart, you set it, bring it back, and fire as hard as you can, pointing at what you're trying to throw at. A lot of people don't struggle with the follow through, but I would say at least 60% of one's inefficiency with darts is their follow through. When you walk to the line, you stare at your objective, set your dart, don't look at your dart, it should be muscle memory. Back draw and fire. And just say 1 Mississippi. Remember, if you're struggling with follow through too, don't hold the dart with no white knuckles. None of this. Just let it rest however you're comfortable, but let it rest. Should be able to slide it right out from behind. That's why darts have a lot of grip on them in some instances. And there's some people who prefer a smooth barrel, but my gripping point on my dart is in the back. So that's where my index finger and thumb go, and that's what I use to grip my dart. And the dart's basically just setting on my thumb. And then my index finger goes up around. And then the middle finger and the ring finger, just balance the dart. But it's just setting there. A lot of times, I would be throwing sober and gripping the dart too tight. And it took me quite some time to realize, loosen that grip, because, hey Dennis, when you're drinking, you're just going up, balancing that dart, letting it sit there, and just firing away. So I would say practice those things. If anybody has any input on what kind of future videos that you would like to see, or what you would like me to talk about, I'm all ears. My main objective here is getting everybody to the point in darts where they're satisfied in their game, and I just want to help as many people as I can improve at the game that we all love. So this video has been about 15 minutes, about a medium-sized video. I won't keep any more of anyone's time. Just got off of work. I'm gonna get some rest. I thank each and every one of you for watching this video, and this has been a whole lot about darts.